What's up, everybody? It's another week in the pod shed with your host, Sean Holman. And hey, that's me. On this episode, I'm going to run you through some of the cool things we've learned about the Ram 1500 Ram Charger, which is the range extending electric pickup that we've been talking about. And we've got a surprise guest stopping in that you haven't heard from for a while to talk about a new product from our friends at Expel to prevent losing your windshield to errant rocks. And as soon as I wrap up this episode, I'm actually on my way to Washington, D.C., to join our friends over at SEMA to meet with lawmakers on Capitol Hill to advocate for the automotive aftermarket and to fight EV mandates and ICE bans here in California. So technology neutrality is something I believe in, and we should be able to choose the technology that works for us and the use case at hand. So as much as I love EV for short in-town use or even off-road with a full battery, the convenience quotient changes quite a bit when I leave my 100-mile radius home base. So thankfully, lately I've had the CRV at my disposal while the Adventure Jeep was down because I've needed to go to meetings that were outside of the range of the Aria. And of course, this is no knock on the Aria itself. It's served its purpose of a short range around town car exceedingly well. I actually love it. My wife drove it again the other day and she's like, I want this car. Anyway, I got the small battery on that car on purpose, but it does have me thinking about what my future vehicle mix might look like. So later on in this episode, we're going to be talking about the future and how range-extending EVs might change the way you look at things. So anyway, while I'm in Washington, D.C., I plan to bring you guys some great content from SEMA's Mike Spagnola and Karen Bailey Chapman, along with at least a couple lawmakers I have meetings with. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate SEMA for inviting me along on this really important mission for car and truck enthusiasts all over the U.S. So as if heading to D.C. this week wasn't enough, I'll be flying back through Las Vegas, where I'll be joining BF Goodrich Tires, and I'll be covering the Mint 400. And I'm pretty excited about that. Pretty much have all access media passes, and there's going to be some cool technology that we're going to be checking out while we're there, and of course, watching the races, and hopefully I'll get some interviews from some racers. And speaking of racers, I just completed a little video project with racer Blake Wilkie and Ram Trucks for my old employer. And Blake says he's down to come on the podcast anytime. So hopefully I'll be able to corral him into joining us in the near future. And I also recently ran into famed Hollywood stuntman Mike Ryan. And Mike Ryan has done all the major stunts. If you remember the semi going off the cliff in Terminator, that was Mike Ryan. And he has got stories upon stories. So I'm working hard to get him on the show as well. So man, there's so much great stuff in the works. I can't wait to share it all with you over the next few months, so wish me luck as we book these great guests. Okay, I'm looking forward into getting into this episode, but first we need to thank the companies that make the Truck Show podcast possible. The Truck Show podcast is presented by Nissan, purveyor of mighty fine trucks and SUVs. Take, for example, the 25 Nissan Frontier, now sporting a freshened look, as well as an updated interior with an available 12.3-inch center screen. Still powered by the standard 3.8-liter V6 with 310 horsepower and 281 pound-feet of torque, and backed by Nissan's 9-speed automatic transmission, the Nissan Frontier S starts at just $32,050, and with a maximum towing capacity of 7,150 pounds, or an off-road package that includes Bilstein shocks, a rear locker, and full skid plates, the Frontier is a mid-sized truck that's meant for both work and play. Or take, for example, the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada that was designed with exceptional comfort in mind. This luxurious and capable body-on-frame SUV can go toe-to-toe with any of the competitors in its class. Point your browser to nissanusa.com and find the perfect quality-built Nissan vehicle to fit your needs. Did you know AMSOIL was started by fighter pilot Al Amatuzio back in 1972 with the game-changing 10W40 synthetic motor oil? Which means that they're the ones that started the synthetic oil game. AMSOIL continues to innovate with a wide selection of synthetics that are formulated, blended, and packaged right here in the United States. These specialized lubricants are engineered for what you drive and how you drive. AMSOIL's catalog includes truck and passenger car oils with formulations specific to high mileage, hybrid, diesel, and you can't ignore the industry-leading Signature Series. With coverage for ATVs and UTVs along with small engines, AMSOIL has your whole fleet covered, and by using AMSOIL's Shop by Vehicle tool, selecting the right motor oil for your application is easy. AMSOIL.com offers package size recommendations to maximize savings, including AMSOIL Ultimate Oil Change Kits, which ensure you have everything you need for an oil change, and it comes right to your door in one box, including filter, gloves, funnel, and even a reminder sticker. AMSOIL offers the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. Get yours today at AMSOIL.com. You have a truck. You need a Kershaw. Kershaw knives, that is. All Kershaw knives come with a limited lifetime warranty, and repair parts such as pocket clips, screws, and springs are available through the website. Kershaw knives also include lifetime sharpening, and the lineup has everything from EDC knives that can be used and abused for under $50, all the way up to high-end collectibles. Thanks to our generous partnership with Kershaw Knives, Truck Show podcast listeners can get 40% off MSRP and free shipping over $50 by using the code 25TSP40 at checkout. It can be used more than once and even includes automatics. Support the Truck Show podcast and get yourself a Kershaw knife today. When it comes to amazing vehicle-based adventure content, how-tos, and great storytelling, only one brand is doing it right in the print magazine space, and that's OVR, Outdoor Vehicle Recreation Magazine. OVR is about getting out there in our vehicles to explore and discover the world around us. Get complimentary access for a year to the digital library or a discount on your print subscription today at ovrmag.com. Use the promotional code @TruckShowPodcast. The Truck Show Podcast survives off your reviews and sponsorships. Please help me to keep it free by leaving reviews and comments on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and by supporting our sponsors.
The Truck Show. We're gonna show you what we know. We're gonna answer what the truck, 'cause truck rhymes with the Truck Show. We have the lifted, we have the lowered, and everything in between. We'll talk about trucks that run on diesel, electricity, and on gasoline. The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show. Oh, oh.
It's the Truck Show with your host, Holman.
What up? That's me. Back in the pod shed. Man, it's going to be a busy week this week. So much going on. It's funny. It's like it just creeps up on you. I looked at the calendar and my wife's like, "Are you gone for like a month?" I don't think. Yeah, I think I am. Man, we got so much stuff. I mentioned some of the things. I'm going to DC, but I also have a Nissan Drive coming up, a Ram Drive with the new Cummins HD. I think you guys are going to be really excited about. Got a little something special coming for that one. Later in the year, I've got the new Ford Expedition Tremor. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. It's going to be crazy. But an old friend stopped by the podcast shed recently and wanted to share his experience with a new product from our friends over at Expel. And that's the new windshield film, which we've talked about on the show before. So without further ado, here is our surprise guest. On this portion of the Truck Show podcast is something that you've all been pining for on the Podshed Insiders, and that's
Lightning, 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 lightning.
Although I think there's some of you who have a different sentiment about my man Lightning.
Oh, my God, Lightning. Shut the F up. Shut up, Lightning. Shut up. Lightning, shut up.
And I don't really think that's fair. I mean, you've had it like 2 months without him, so I think there's people missing him.
You think so?
Hey, you need to get up on the mic there when you're in the pod shed.
Well, I was listening to a couple of the guests, and
you
they
need to
sounded
get
like
up.
this. They were way off the mic. Should I sit up like this, right on the microphone?
This is why you're not allowed back in the pod shed. I bring you back so you can clean up some unfinished business. Mm-hmm. Come in wearing different brands now, and you're like all different out in the world, free of this.
Do I look different? Do I have a sheen to me now?
I mean, I'm gonna have to turn the lights down in here. Otherwise, I'm gonna have to put on some
I'm glowing.
glasses.
Is that what you're saying?
So yeah, we've had some guests, and they need to be closer on the mic. I get that.
Some of them, but here's the thing.
Not all of them,
I promise that I will not burp like Emmy. That was horrendous.
That was disgusting.
That was so gross.
But the fact that she surprised herself is like she didn't know.
Does she do that in restaurants?
Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
I mean, I love Emmy, but not like that.
No, it was.
I'm not cool with girls farting and burping and all that stuff. I get it. Do it amongst yourselves, but not with the boys.
Yeah, it was.
No,
it was shocking.
Not ladylike.
She shocked herself. That's the biggest part about that whole thing is I'm sitting here and I looked at the look on her face. And
Was
I'm
she
like,
talking to this mic that I'm on right now?
Yeah, yeah.
Hold on.
I cleaned it off for you.
You did?
No.
No. I'm just cleaning off these have like these foam muffs. Here we go. All right, clean off. There we go.
Oh my God, excuse me.
Oh, wait, one more time. Turn that up.
So funny.
One more time.
Oh my God, excuse me.
It's deep.
It's guttural and,
Yeah.
and wet. So, all right, you are clearly on.
I'm bummed that I missed that in a weird way.
Yeah. Well, okay. So you've been gone for almost 2 months now, and is it weird coming back and seeing the pod shed rearranged?
It is odd seeing you on my side of the table.
Mm-hmm.
I like your setup over here.
Thank you.
You've got your laptop lifted into the air. You got new monitors. You have a whole new sound system.
camera here.
It's wired differently. Yeah, you've got a professional camera over there for doing. I guess you shot Mike Rowe and you and Mike. By the way, kudos to you on the Mike Rowe. That was really great. I love Kristen. Was it Kirsten or Kristen? Kristen from Cobb. Kirsten.
Yes.
All right, Kirsten from Cobb. Emmy was so. It's been really fun listening to the show as a listener.
What is that like? I mean, you have to be sitting there being angry or thinking, lower the socket!
I mean, the audio levels could be better, but I think you're getting the hang of it. The content has been great, and you have stepped up because it's not like you were lazy when I was here, but you, as a one-man show, like it's just you.
Yeah.
You are good, and you're like a news anchor. You sound more like a news anchor. You're informative.
It's weird to talk to yourself.
I would imagine there's less filler. You're just right to the point, which I like.
I'm trying to make it more concise for people so that they can get in and get out. But then I have people going, I miss lightning.
Those 15-minute segments, midweek, they're right down to the brass tacks.
Yeah.
You're like, here's what happened in the world of trucks, and I kind of like it. I'm like, I don't miss that lightning guy.
So, as you know, we formed the Podshed Insiders on Facebook. And
I popped in here and there, and I've been poked fun at.
And you're a member, which is funny because sometimes I have to remind people that you're still there. And there was the one that was, I kind of miss lightning, but I want Kirsten to come host the show. I wasn't expecting that one. That one was pretty funny.
Well, I thought that was kind of cool because she is doing much the same at Cobb that I am at Banks.
Exactly.
Right? And so they're, and they have similar products as well, which I found out that they're also working on an intercooler for the new Tacoma. And I think we're going to beat them to market on that one.
Well, she may be listening. She may not be.
That's fine. No, I'm excited to have some great competition. By the way, so I have strong opinions about tuners, right? There are some fly-by-night tuners. There's some good tuners. Cobb is one of the brands that I would run in any of my cars or trucks all day long, any day. I have met the tuners at the SEMA garage up in Diamond Bar, and they are really talented guys.
Yeah, they have a great group over there. So, I've been trying to get her on the show for a while, and it finally worked out, but she's out here for KOH and some other stuff, so she just came in studio, which was awesome. So I always love having people here, especially now. I feel like I'm alone all the time.
Well, you are.
Yeah,
you are.
And some days it's like 10 o'clock at night, and I've like rallied all day long. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go do this. And then I come in here, and I'm like,
See,
and I just doesn't, words don't come out. I'm like, this wasn't a you, me thing. This was I just can't talk.
Well, so you guys know that for 7 years, I would leave Banks, and I would drive straight to El Segundo, where our studio was, right? And then now
Anaheim,
where I was always driving somewhere, and Holman was sitting around waiting for me. Like, oh, you're in traffic. Let's go, asshole. So I would get there, and we would record until 11 o'clock, midnight or so. But now you're doing that on your own. You don't have to wait for anyone. You're waiting till like 1 a.m. just because.
Okay, so one of the better episodes lately, Brandon Sturgis from BF Goodrich Tires. And I've been trying to get them, but they couldn't do the late slot. So without you, I don't have to wait for you to get here. Now I have an 11 o'clock slot during the day. And so now all these people are coming around going, can I take that one? I want to be on during the day. So now I do a recording midday and then one in the evening instead of 2 in the evening. And that way, then I can just work on the show after that.
That's cool.
That works.
You've got more flexibility. It's great.
So that's helpful. But yeah, I mean, I miss you.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah.
Are you lying?
I mean,
a little bit.
I don't.
So I received a couple of email from listeners who said, I miss you on the show.
That's funny. I don't recall asking for a really boring story. My God. Don't you understand? No one cares.
You have to wait until I tell the really long, boring story before you can play that.
All right. Well,
we are deeply sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry.
Go ahead.
I'm waiting.
We're sorry.
I know these drops by heart. I'm not going to interrupt them.
Go ahead.
I don't even remember what I was going to say now.
That you had listeners emailing you.
Yeah, I had a couple listeners that said, hey, I miss you on the show. And other ones are like, hey, Holman's doing a really good job. And I think that as well. I think you're doing a good job. So it's a different show, but I enjoy it. You don't have me just interrupting all the time like I am now.
Right. It's weird having somebody talking back to me in here. I'm like, normally I'm just staring at the American flag there, making noise. And, now there's a human back and forth.
You're doing a good job. So thanks for keeping on with keeping on.
All right. I appreciate that. And
so after I left the show, actually right before I left the show, I went to Protective Film Solutions down in Orange County, just south of you. And I had a couple of sheets of windshield protection film put on.
So if you guys remember, we were at SEMA talking to our friend Chris over at Expel, and we were talking about the new windshield film. And Lightning got that and then neglected to tell Chris that he quit the show. And now he's back groveling in order to get the windshield film repaid, right?
It's not. I don't know that I would have stated it like that, but I do owe Chris some love, and this is what I'm coming here for. Yes,
you're not wrong. You just maybe
less than right.
I just figured I'll just do this whole interview as drops, and that way you know what it's like to be me on that side where all you hear is drops the whole show. I feel like I've done a good job of I've had some fun with drops on occasion for funny, but I've been conservative with their usage.
I'm glad because it's easy to go overboard, as you know.
It is.
Yes.
It is.
So I go down and I brought both cars. I went hog wild because I brought the Mercedes and I brought the TRX.
And the Mercedes needed it because the only way you could drive on the California freeways is to have that windshield protected because there is no other replacement, right? Isn't that an obsoleted part?
Yes.
Or very hard to find if you want OE?
So our friends at SoCal Auto Glass Kings, when he ordered my windshield at Mercedes, he picked it up and they go, "Hey, don't bust it." Kind of jokingly, he's like, "That's 1 of 5." And he goes, "Oh, what do you mean?" He goes, "No, that's 1 of 5. This windshield is obsolete. If you want another one, you got to go Safelite." And a lot of German cars, we talked about it on the air, you don't want to go Safelite unless you have to. So with my deductible, of course, was $500, but that windshield was, I think, $2,500 for a windshield. Duh. So I did not want to get that pitted. Immediately, virgin glass, drove it straight down after the windshield installation to Protective Film Solutions, who was recently purchased by Expel. Right. So they were amazing. Kyle took great care of me down there. And I got to hold it in my hand and look at the film, and it's 1.5 mils thick. So it is thinner than a traditional paint protection film, but it is thicker than you'd expect to be on a windshield because you'd think it was going to be like a window tint film, that very thin.
Yeah, and kind of like a cellophane.
Right.
So my question is optical clarity and then scratch resistance. Those are the two things that I was most curious about.
Right. So it's self-healing, just like the paint protection film. So we did a piece of steel wool, and it as soon as it gets warm with a hairdryer or just in the sunlight, it heals itself. That's pretty cool.
Okay, that is cool.
Yeah. So I have taken on the TRX, I've taken a couple pebbles that I can hear on the 605 freeway to the windshield, and I can't find where they've hit. So it's clearly working. Now, I haven't taken a big rock to it, but I don't expect that this is going to repel a rock.
You're not going around looking to get the front of your truck hit with rocks.
Hell no. No, absolutely. So clarity. Not 1 out of 10, 10 being absolutely invisible, it's about 8 3/4.
Okay.
It is absolutely clear enough for you to drive and see through without going, "Oh, I wish I hadn't put this on my windshield."
Okay.
But there are ever so slight imperfections, but I don't care. They are not imperfections where you're seeing through it and you're when you drive the car, you're not aware of them. It's not until you pull your focal point back to your windshield that you will see any imperfections. So as long as I'm looking past the hood of the car or into traffic, I don't see any imperfections. You know what I'm saying? It's like looking through a piece of glass in the distance or looking at the glass itself. If you look at the glass itself, you can spot a couple little things here and there. But I think it is... I'm really happy with it. I'm truly happy with it. And I'm going to take you outside to look at the TRX. The TRX, unfortunately, we had to go over a couple of rock pits that were already on there.
Yeah, I've got my brand new windshield on 392, and there's one tiny rock pit that I got the day the freaking windshield went on there, like always.
Yeah.
So that was the only thing that was keeping me from putting the film on, was just like, oh, what do I do if I already have a chip? Do you need to repair it, or do they just go over it with film?
So you can go right over it, but it makes it... more visible.
Okay.
So I had my rock chip. It was pretty good size. Like it was a little smaller than my pinky fingernail. But it was good size, and they came over and they filled it.
Yeah.
Like we did that, they
Little
put
dab
in
in
the
there,
the
yeah.
epoxy and stuff
Yeah.
in there, and so you can still see it, but it's perfectly smooth and it's now strong again. So that's still in there, but luckily it's not in my sight line. It's
Yeah.
down towards the lower part of the windshield. But I'm truly happy with it because even though it is absolutely not as perfectly clear as the Expel window tint,
Yeah.
which is absolutely invisible.
Yeah.
It's like nobody can tell that it's on there. It's damn near close. And I'm perfectly fine with that. So if I had a Ferrari or a high-end, if I had a Lamborghini, I'd put this on immediately.
That's the cost of doing business.
You do this. But if you're Holman and you're driving off-road and you're taking rocks because the guy in front of you
Yeah.
is, wheeling hard, I would put this on as well.
Yeah.
Because all that, and like when you went through the desert and you got pelted by a sandstorm,
Yeah.
right? This would stop that. Worst case is you would peel it off, and for another $500, you put another coat on, and your windshield stays brand new.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like if you have an inexpensive vehicle and the windshields are only $500 to $700 to replace, this may not make sense. But if you've got anything that's over $1,000 to replace, it does make sense.
Especially if your deductible is $500 anyway.
Yeah, and then don't you have a zero deductible on one of yours?
I don't remember. I had it. It was really low. It was like $100 on one of the cars.
So,
But my Jeep was $500 when
so
I had
in that case, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's debatable. But here's the thing: you don't want to remove your windshield.
Yeah, you
it's
don't
a
want to break the
structural
seal.
member, right? And you don't want to break that seal if it leaks. And just as few times as you can replace that glass, the better,
yeah.
right? And so this allows you to do it. So I'm super helpful. One thing I didn't expect: it also filters out 99% of the UV.
So it's like having the tint on there.
So I do. I have the windshield tint, and I have this
on the inside.
On the inside, and now I have this on the outside. Yeah, so it's pretty good. And as far as how long is it going to last, they say Expel says 3 to 5 years.
Okay.
And they recommend that every 3 to 5 washes you use some ceramic boost on it. Now, if you go wheeling through the desert, through the forest, and you've got pine needles and dirt in there, and you get it wet and you use your windshield wipers,
You're probably
it's probably
not-
going to leave some marks.
See, that's why I wonder if you forget or your knee bumps it or something, and all of a sudden the wipers go off, or the guy at the valet hits your wipers. You're like, ooh.
You know what? If I were like the guys on YouTube that test stuff,
Yeah.
they're like, I'm going to abuse it. I'm going to show you how it works. I would have done that already. But I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah,
And
right.
so I don't want to call Chris at Expel and go, I was doing an experiment and I messed it up. Can we do another layer? Like, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So I have it was raining and I used them. They were clean. My wipers were clean. Actually, I know because I ran my finger along the blades and I ran it. No lines at all. None. Zero. So you couldn't tell that and it was pouring on us a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
And I was using them full speed. No lines at all. So I do know that under normal rain circumstances, it's great. And in the sunlight, like I said, any imperfections get healed right out. So 2 thumbs up for this guy right here. Let me say that again. So 2 thumbs up from this guy right here on Expel windshield protection. And like I said, if it makes sense for your application, do it.
All right, and where can you go?
It is only sold at exclusive Expel dealers. And that's kind of one of the reasons that I didn't go back to our friend Brian, where we had some of our other work done.
Yeah.
It's because he sells other brands as well.
Oh,
So he's
yeah.
a big Expel guy.
So
but he
Expel's
does sell-
using this as a proprietary kind of to their network.
You have to be all about Expel. And so you just go on their website. Just go to Expel. Just Google it, Expel windshield protection. It'll pop up. You can put in your zip code. It'll tell you exactly where to go. And so the guys are Expel experts when they put it in.
Yeah.
So, some films stretch, some films, they
Well, you got
they
to
contract,
use
they
heat.
contort,
There's a whole process.
all this stuff. But dude, only took 1 hour for each windshield to install. An
Okay.
hour. That was
All
it.
right.
It's quick.
Maybe I should call Chris.
You should. Yeah, I would do it.
Well, thanks for coming by the pod shed. It's
Is
good
that
to see
it?
you again.
I'm just pimping Expel. That's it?
Yeah, I
You gonna
guess so.
kick me to the curb?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, you have to get out now. Did you bring Dr. Pepper?
No, I know you have a whole thing of it right over
I think I
here.
have like 2 cans left in here or something like that.
Yeah.
Should we have a Dr. Pepper together?
There's only one down there.
Oh, yeah.
Wait. Hold on a second.
Yeah, see if there's a second one and we can cheers.
Oh, yeah, it's 2.
Yeah. All right.
It's weird being here as a guest. There we go. Yeah, good time. Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper.
How many years is this now?
March 18th will be 8.
Are you kidding me with that?
18?
8 years.
8 years? 5? 7? 7 or 8. I don't know. We started in March of 18, so 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So this will be going into our 8th, I guess.
We'll be going into your 8th.
Yeah, my 8th.
Yeah.
You
I boned out at 7.
So what's it like not having to come here all the time?
I thought I would enjoy it. I thought I would enjoy what I don't miss is the editing. I'm sure you don't enjoy that either.
It's okay. I don't not enjoy it. It's more of a I like editing. I enjoy putting the show together the way I want, and kind of figuring out what to pluck out and stuff that's not necessary, or how to move some stuff around. That doesn't bother me. It's just the time. It's always longer than you think it will, even if you do a really clean show.
Okay, so you're right. You are right. I loved editing.
Yeah.
I still do. I still do that daily. But it was taking me 6 hours a week to do because there's so many. You and I were together. We screw up a lot.
We're bad.
You're probably better solo because you're refined.
I don't know about that because I screw up a lot, and I've got a lot of crutch words, just like you do.
Yeah.
And so I basically all the time am like trying to condition myself not to say certain words.
Mm-hmm.
And you guys probably know what they are, but I'm not going to tell you because I take about 100 of them out every hour.
Well, you have certain crutch words that you only use when you're doing the news, when you're reading things.
I know. And
then I have also like I say so. I was cutting 100 so's per episode out. I'm like, I don't want our listeners to have to listen to me saying so.
Yeah, it's
Dude, that was painful.
Every week is painful. Because that has nothing to do with the show. That's
anyway. So yeah, it's I don't know. It's not as easy as it looks. I've actually been on a couple podcasts, and I've had podcasters asking me about the show. Hey, what's it like going on your own? And it's like it's way different than I thought. It's not hard to do. What's hard to do is do it in a way that I think the audience appreciates it or likes it. Because I'm always second guessing myself, and then I'm like, I don't know if I can hold it. It's sometimes the person with you is the crutch.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Well, I meant
it
as a compliment.
Yeah. I see. Yeah. Oh, you're doing a good job. Keep it up. Right. I'm listening. You haven't bored me yet.
No, that's good. That's good. I
I have the attention span of a gnat.
I'm surprised. How many hours do you get through? The whole thing?
All of it.
Wow. When do you listen to it?
All of it. Half on the way to work and half on the way home.
All right.
I mean, that's probably what most people do.
Yeah. I mean,
my commute is, depending on traffic, my commute is 45 minutes. Which,
so it's perfect. So
exactly.
I've been trying to hit about 90 to about not quite 2 hours.
Yeah.
Everything, if it's 2 hours, it's because something weird happened. For the most part, they're about hour and a half, hour and 45 is kind of where I've been aiming.
I think the only thing that I would say, my only word of advice is, I think unless you're a new listener, which, I'm sure the show's still bringing in new listeners, but everyone now, we know your policy and your standpoint on electrification. So I don't think you need to give that anymore. Like, we know where you stand on electrification.
Yeah, but it's hard because I'll have the whatever EV, and then I get hate mail from people. Oh, why do you have that? I'm like, because it's part of the thing. Like, you have to do it.
So do you think that they only heard that one episode?
I don't know. I have no idea. And it's funny because if you look at our numbers, the numbers are going up. We're been growing since the beginning of the year, so that's good. And then Spotify has been going up too.
Wait, since I left their numbers?
Since you left the show. I didn't say it like that. That was on you.
Yeah.
I didn't say that. No, but I was afraid that it would just stagnate or would drop off, and people would be like, "Oh, I'm out."
I was your ball and chain.
And now we're just sort of like a rocket ship.
Yes.
No, it's very steady.
He unloaded the payload.
No, it's very steady. It's small, but it's trending in the right way. The way the podcasting world has worked over the past couple of years has been pretty hard to make inroads. And because there are so many podcasts out there, discoverability is really hard.
Yeah.
And so having anybody find it and then latch onto it. But like the numbers, Spotify gives different metrics than Apple gives on their stuff. And then Libsyn gives on their stuff. So you have to really look at everything to kind of pick out. But like the conversion rate of people who see it, who then listen to 1 minute and then say, you did it while I was talking. I can't use that as a drop now.
Oh, damn. Cut it out anyway. I just thought it'd be funny.
So anyway, all the different platforms have different metrics that you can judge growth and the podcast from. And then there's all these services that are like, oh, we'll tell you where you are in the charts. And I'm like, in one chart we're top 20, and one we're top 30, and one we're number 1 in Yugoslavia. I mean, it's just so weird stuff, and you're trying to figure out. We got a group called Good Pods or something like that said we're number 1 in Ford Racing podcast.
Ford Racing,
which is weird.
Huh.
So like there's all these things, and you like the metrics are not perfect on podcasting, so you have to look at a lot of different things to kind of feel like, is it getting better? Is it growing? Am I keeping people? Am I retaining people? But we have really hardcore people who are like the first day or two, boom, like I guarantee you those are the same people every week. And then the rest of them are kind of coming in or finding things that they want to,
Are you thinking about doing an event?
So I got to figure that out. Event in person. I want to do another Zoom with everybody. So I'll do that. Join the Podshed Insiders because that's where we'll get that info
on
out.
Facebook.
On Facebook. And then I've been trying to figure out how to grow. And my next thing is, do I do Patreon?
I think you do.
As a addition. Nothing changes from what we have today.
I think you do. I think there are enough people that are hardcore fans that would pay $5 a month to get some exclusive content. Get closer to their man Holman.
So what would that exclusive content be? Because for me, I want to do video. And I think for $5 a month, whatever video I make is going to be from the interviews. And if I do an uncut interview where you can see all the blurbs and blabs and you can see the two people talking, is that interesting enough?
Some of it, but I think no. I think being able to tap into Holman as a resource is more worthwhile. So
for $5 a month, Holman, you put Holman on retainer to tell you what truck to buy?
Kind of. Yeah.
Maybe.
No, like seriously, like you get like an attorney, like a retainer. So I can, my grandfather is looking to sell this. What's it worth? Call Holman. And
Truck Show Podcast at gmail.com. Tell
something
me,
like that.
What do you guys think? Would you guys pay $5 a month, and what would you want?
Like our friend Ralph Garman, right, who does the Showbiz Beat, and he's got a lot of subscribers and on Patreon, and he will do custom messages, right? He does impressions, right? He does famous, actors.
I can do impressions of bad podcasting.
Don't do that. Don't do that. But like that's what he does.
Yeah,
you could give advice, and I'm sure there are other things like that that are unique to this show and you.
Maybe. So anyway, I'm kicking that around. The show doesn't change. Everything you get today is the same. Just wondering, are there things I can do that can help prop up the show and help it pay for itself and all that good stuff. So
you're gonna have to come up with them because I don't know if the listeners will help.
Maybe they will. Maybe they won't.
Yeah.
I've got a few pretty vocal people that are all about it. So we'll see.
All right. Well, congrats on the continued success, my friend.
All right. Well, thanks for making the trek down behind the orange curtain all the way down to the Podshed and taking one of my Dr. Peppers.
You got it. By the way, I'm only like 2 miles away.
All right. We've now kicked Lightning out of the studio where he belongs. And sayonara, senor. I wanted to get to some really interesting information that I got this past week. I was invited by Ram to go to like a media briefing. And it was all about the 2026 Ram 1500 Ram Charger, and that's the extended range EV. So I feel like I'm going to do a little bit of a deep dive with you guys.
Prepare to dive.
Prepare to dive.
Hi, Captain! Captain, we're too deep!
There's no such thing as too deep. Okay, that was too deep.
I always love that one. Okay, so this was pretty interesting. We had a meeting. It was a virtual meeting, and a ton of automotive journalists were on. And it was invite only, but it seems like they invited most of the industry. And we had a couple of speakers, including the Ram Charger's chief engineer, Joe Tolkatz, and then also CEO Tim Kaniskis. And they brought a ton of information, kind of enlightened everybody and primed us for the Ram Charger's debut later this year, possibly in Q3 or 4, and wanted to kind of get us used to the thought process, how it was going to work. There's so much technology in this truck. It's almost hard to comprehend. I mean, it took hours and hours of pouring through all of the materials they gave us. And I had recorded the media conference just so I could go back and make sure that I got it all right, because they just threw out so much information. It was pure insanity. So out of that call came a ton of little and very interesting info nuggets. And keep in mind, most of this information is still pre-production, preliminary, but it's getting really close. So they felt they were in a good enough position where they could start talking up the truck and explaining it. So this was specifically about the range extended version of the electric Ram. That's the one that uses the Pentastar engine and 2 motors, which can be one front and one rear. This is not the 350-mile range REV, which is the battery electric version. That's been pushed back to late 2026. In fact, Ram thinks the Ram Charger is so good, it actually killed the big battery version of the REV because it just, from a price standpoint, they just thought there wasn't an advantage considering what the Ram Charger is capable of. And as I kind of go through and walk you guys through the Ram Charger, I think you'll be impressed. It does things that, the spec sheet. Okay, we got it. Everybody has a spec sheet. But the thought process into why they made some of the decisions they did and stuff like that, those are the things that I'm most impressed with. It was very cool. So the Pentastar is set up like a generator, so there's no direct mechanical connection to the wheels at all. It's what's called a series hybrid, so it's much like a locomotive where you've got the diesel engines that are powering the generators, which provide motive power through the batteries. And it's different than a parallel hybrid. So a parallel hybrid is your typical plug-in or non-plug-in hybrid. So in the truck realm, think Ford F-150 hybrid, Toyota iForce Max. In the car world, think of Toyota Prius. The engine has 270 peak horsepower and is paired with a 130 kilowatt continuous output generator, although it can peak higher than that. Because it doesn't run constantly, the engine can be simplified. So there's no EGR, no AC, no alternator, no starter motor. There's no 12-volt battery. Instead, it uses a solid-state DC to DC converter, which is pretty interesting. And then a lot of people were asking, why did Ram choose the V6 instead of the Turbo 4? Because you're thinking, well, efficiency is key, right? Why wouldn't you use the smaller engine? Well, it turns out the V6 is actually quieter and smoother. The Ram already comes with it, so it's packaged into that particular platform. With the 4, you have to package the turbos, the intercooler, the additional cooling capability. And according to Ram, the V6 is said to be so quiet that it's hard to even tell when it's running and there's no tach. They took executives around and they were trying to quiz them on their test track, is the engine running or not? So it also makes a lot of sense for the V6. Plus, it doesn't have turbos, so it's not as expensive, and they've built a gazillion of them, so it's a pretty known variable at this point. The engine will be powered by gasoline from a 27-gallon fuel tank, which will supplement the nickel, manganese, cobalt cell chemistry of the battery pack. So the battery pack has a 69.7 kilowatt hour rating, but that's usable power. Provides about 145 miles of range. In comparison, my Aria has a 63 kilowatt hour battery pack and has just over 200 miles of range. The Ram Charger has 91.8 kilowatt hours of total capacity. So it's actually pretty normal. The advertised battery rating, like on a Lightning, is lower than what the actual battery pack is. And they do that because they want to block out a portion of total capacity for various reasons. So for Ram, they wanted the owner experience to be really positive. So throughout the displayed 0 to 100%, that's indicated charge. That's 0 to 100% of that 69.7 kilowatt hours, not the 91.8. They wanted the owner to have maximum battery output throughout that range. So because you're not truly at 0, you're not truly at 100, they figured out on that battery pack where you could always get the maximum power availability, and that's what they chose. The delayed Ram REV, which is the EV version, will have 350 miles of range from a 168 kilowatt hour battery pack, and the all-EV Ford Lightning, the entry-level battery is 98 kilowatt hours with about 240 miles of range. The big battery is capable of about 320 miles from a 131 kilowatt hour battery. So that kind of gives you an idea of what's out there in comparison. All in, the Ram Charger provides an estimated 690 miles of quote-unquote hybrid range. So full battery, full fuel tank, unloaded, 690 miles, which is pretty amazing. Now, towing with a maximum of 14,000 pounds, which is an incredible number, especially for a quote-unquote half-ton, will, of course, have a large impact on range, just 39 miles in EV mode, and it'll get just 266 miles with a full tank of gas. Although, if you think about it, that's not horrible, right? Probably want closer to 300 plus, but, for what it is, not bad. So Ram stated that at this point in its development, they're estimating the Ram Charger gets about 60 mpge, which is mile per gallon equivalent. But there aren't any E-revs out yet to compare that to. So it sits on the low side currently, other than the Hummer EV with mud tires. That thing has a dismal 48 mile per gallon MPGe. It's estimated about 20 miles per gallon when the gas powertrain is considered, which is still shy of an F-150 hybrid at 23. But of course, these numbers could change because we're still ways off from the late 2025 release. Max payload is pretty impressive. Max payload will be 2,625 pounds, which is damn good for a half-ton. But this 8-lug truck, yes, I said it, 8-lug, is more of a tweener. So the Stella platform has been designed for work. Even the independent rear suspension uses forged aluminum. It was really designed, it kind of reminds me of the old Ford F-150 that had the 7700 package on it, or the what they called the F-250 light duty. They changed the naming convention halfway through. And I believe you could even get a 1500 HD on a Ram Mega Cab, and maybe even the GM trucks. But I feel like this is kind of sized to be a 1500. It uses the same cab as the 1500, not the bigger cab, but it has more heavy-duty light capability. So it might be the perfect in-between for somebody. All right, let's talk power. 647 horsepower, 610 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 comes in at 4.5 seconds. That's just a hair slower than the battery-only Lightning. Also, here's another thing that I thought was really interesting. If you're calling for wide open throttle and there's enough power to support it, the generator will not kick in like on a hybrid. Likewise, if there's a charge, the vehicle will operate just like an EV, no engine light off, although the engine will come on from time to time. So, example, if you have gas tank full, but you're plugging in every day and you're doing short trips, it may come on its own every once in a while just to circulate fluids, boil off any condensation in the engine. But Ram went through great pains to make the strategy as close to an EV as possible. Otherwise, I think they were thinking, what's the point? Why go for an EV experience if we're going to have this engine running all the time? The other thing that I thought was kind of cool is it's not going to run at 1 RPM. It's actually going to vary the RPM. I'll get into that in a second. Once the charge is depleted, the Ram Ramcharger ICE engine will fire up and has the ability to use regen braking, as well as supplying charge to the battery and powering the motors. And then like the Jeep 4xEs, the Ramcharger will have 3 drivetrain modes, which I'm a huge fan of in the Jeeps. It's a little bit different. So in the Jeep, it has 3 modes: electric, hybrid, and e-save. And I love the way they work in the Jeep. It's one of my favorite implementations of the driver being able to decide how he wants to utilize his power. And like the Jeep 4xEs, the Ramcharger also has 3 drive modes, but they're a little bit different. So Ram is doing electric plus mode, and that's the default with pure electric operation as long as the battery has a charge. Then they do have an e-save. It runs the generator to maintain the battery with at least 50% state of charge, so if you want to use electric drive later. And then lastly, there's an eco mode that limits the power output. It also adapts climate control logic for higher efficiency. So going back to the engine not running at a constant speed like we kind of assumed, so instead of it being like a boat where you just have your throttles and you're going to town, they actually designed the engine to mimic the behavior of like a traditional ICE truck. It won't do it exactly one for one, but it won't sit there at the same RPM, potentially droning or having NVH. It'll actually loosely follow the throttle mapping and kind of follow what the driver's doing, so it doesn't feel strange to people driving it where you feel disconnected from the powertrain. So it'll actually go through the RPM as you're driving, which is kind of cool. The truck will come in all-wheel drive only, so there's no traditional low range. However, there is a setting for off-road low, and it remaps the torque to replicate the behavior of four-wheel drive low range so that you can have easier control in off-road conditions, and the rear motor can be equipped with a locker. So no off-road package to speak of yet, but I wouldn't put it past Ram. We also learned that the truck, once it reaches 12 to 18 miles per hour, the front motor disengages for more efficiency, but in other drive modes like towing, sport, or off-road, it'll keep it in all-wheel drive all the time. When in tow mode, the engine will maintain a 35% state of charge. This is the thing that I think you guys are going to be blown away with. The Ramcharger has been tested to the SAE J2807 standard, so that's the 11-mile climb, 3,500-foot elevation change at 100 degrees, and air conditioning on going up Davis Dam. Ram's been tested at 14,000-pound trailer, both fully charged, partially depleted, and completely depleted battery. It passed all the tests. Even with just the engine powered on and providing the charge, the Ram was able to tow that trailer. On the long I-70 grade in Colorado, not only was it able to pull the trailer, but it was able to maintain a 35% state of charge with the engine running going on that. So to me, that's really impressive. That takes all the range anxiety and worry out of towing with an EV, but it gives you all the benefit of an EV, like monstrous amounts of torque. So speaking of depleted batteries, Ram Charger's chief engineer Joe Tolzak says that the Ram Charger can reach and sustain its top speed of 114 miles per hour, again, with the batteries fully depleted. It's also capable of DC fast charging at a rate of up to 180 kilowatts, even though it's on a 400-volt battery architecture. That means you can replenish the pack from 20 to 80% in about 45 minutes or so. Of course, you can fill the 27-gallon gas tank in 5 minutes and get some more range out of it that way. All right, let's just run through the specs really quick. I'll just hit them all. 0 to 60, 4.5, top speed 114, horsepower 647, torque 610, total range 6,900. Curb weight 7,500 pounds. Electric range, 145 miles. Payload, 2,625 pounds. Towing capacity, 14,000 pounds. Battery size, 91.8 kilowatt hours, but it's 69.7 usable. Battery weighs in at 1,216 pounds, and if you level 1 charge at home, just from a standard outlet, it'll take 45 hours to charge. Level 2 charging time from a upgraded home charger, 8 hours. The generator engine power is 271 horsepower. It runs on 87 octane, and you can expect the gross vehicle weight rating to be around 20,000 pounds. So I don't know, guys. This sounds pretty damn good to me. Could this be the EV pickup for those that like to do work, especially those who need to tow? I think that's the angle Ram is playing here. I believe Tim Kuniskis called it the Goldilocks of trucks. Very simply, manufacturers are pushing EVs with big tow numbers, but most charging stations aren't set up for any pull-throughs when you have a trailer attached. You got to unhook the trailer to charge your truck. With the addition of the extended range EV setup on there, now you can pull through at a regular gas station and continue on your way. So for me, it sounds more interesting than I even thought it would. I'm incredibly excited to get behind the wheel of this truck. And again, Ram sees this as the ultimate electrified pickup truck, the best of both worlds. However, the devil's advocate side of that is there's an argument to be made against two powertrains. It'll still need to go in for oil changes, although less frequently. And you're maintaining two drivetrains, all that kind of stuff. But to be able to add significant amount of range, just like you do with an ICE truck today, skipping the plug might be the compelling reason some people need, especially with the power and torque advantage, as well as drivability that EVs can offer. So if you're interested in this, order banks will open up sometime in Q2 with deliveries later this year. Pricing has not been announced, but CEO Tim Kuniskis hinted that it might be slightly more than the average transaction price of a pickup today. My guess, it'll start around $69,000 and go on up from there. For those of you who like SUVs, this will be the same powertrain that eventually makes its way into the Jeep Wagoneer as well, since they're both on the Stella platform. Also, we found out that the Ram Charger is going to come with a CCS port rather than a NACS port, for those of you battery nerds out there who care about such things. Well, let's cover the packaging. Crew cab only 5.7-foot short bed will be the only version of the truck available. So what do you think? I mean, this is kind of historic. I mean, we've never seen a truck set up like this before in the consumer space. I think it's pretty exciting. Is this the direction of the future for trucks? Is it going to move to heavy duties? I feel like this might be a better way to do electrified versions of heavy duty trucks as well. Now, I'm not saying I want to give up my V8 at all, but I am interested, and I want to know what you guys think. truckshowpodcast@gmail.com, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. Or, of course, you could post in the Podshed Insiders. It's been a fun week with a lot of great comments. So let's check into the Podshed Insiders.
Join the Podshed Insiders. Why not? We're having fun with all that's being said, hooting and hollering in the online shed. We're having fun, talking trucks, and other totally rad and random stuff. No matter where you are, hang out in Holman's backyard. Join the Podshed Insiders, why not?
All right, why not? Why not join the Podshed Insiders if you're on Facebook? So we've got a lot of fun activity on the Podshed Insiders this week, like Cole Rivas taking his 74 square body out for a spin, and by a spin I mean lots of donuts. He posted the video up there. Chuck Lawson showing us what it's like to build the MX track over at Daytona Speedway. Todd Barnhill talking about picking up his new custom-made Kershaw knife. And Todd, when you get that thing, I expect you to post it there on the Podshed Insiders. And Chris Alter posting pictures of his old Ranger with the 2.0 Lima motor in it with a welded rear diff, and Vice Grips holding on his e-brake so he could kick it sideways. So he's got a bunch of fun drifting photos of it. You guys are having a lot of fun in there. I love it. Love to see it. So again, if you want to join the fun, go to Facebook and type in Podshed Insiders. All right, well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Truck Show Podcast, because I've got a plane to catch. And actually got to drive to Vegas, catch a red eye, and then fly to D.C. for a day and a half and fly back to Vegas for the Mint. It'll be crazy.
The Truck Show, the Truck Show, the Truck Show,
And please give us a follow on social at Truck Show Podcast, both on Instagram and Facebook. Please leave us a message on the 5-star hotline, 657-205-6105. Of course, join the Facebook group, the Podshed Insiders. Send us some Know Your Notes, because I'm still planning on doing some sort of cool group show with all of you over Zoom. Hopefully we'll do that later this month, and we'll tease you guys with some Know Your Notes. I've got a few that I've been banking for you. Of course, give me your feedback, truckshowpodcast@gmail.com. And I don't want to forget the events. I told you guys I've been working really hard. Actually, I put my kid to work, and she's been killing it putting up events on the Truck Show Podcast website. So, of course, you can go to the Truck Show Podcast website. We've got all sorts of stuff on there. You can listen to the episodes, see our featured products. If you missed out on any of the discount codes, you can find them there. But events, so much stuff going on. March 5th and 9th, we've got the Arizona Classic Bronco Stampede. From March 13th through 15th, we've got the Car and Truck Show Spectacle, the 36th annual Run to the Sun Car and Truck Show in Myrtle Square Mall, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And March 15th through 16th is the SoCal Overland Expo at the OC Fair and Events Center. From March 28th and 29th in, looks like, Las Vegas Motor Speedway, the C10 Nationals. Will be the Las Vegas 2025 show. And March 29th, looks like 3rd Kernsville Jeep Jam at 618 Edgewood Street in Kernsville, North Carolina. So the events page is set up really great. Just go to truckshowpodcast.com and click on the events bar. And we've got this cool tool, so you can go directly from our page into the events page for registration. And please, send me more events. I've got a huge spreadsheet. She's working on it. We've got about 100 events on there. And I would say we probably have, I don't know, a third of them put up already. So just keep sending them in. We'll put them up there, and I'd love to help you guys promote your local shows. So I appreciate what you do for me. I'd like to do something for you guys. The Truck Show Podcast is presented by Nissan. You can head on down to your local Nissan dealership or check out what they have online, nissanusa.com. Of course, we have some of the best lubricants money can buy. AMSOIL offers the protection you demand and the performance you deserve. You can get yours today at amsoil.com. And of course, you got a truck, you need a knife, head over to kershaw.kaiusa.com and get yourself a brand new knife, 40% off MSRP. And of course, OVR Magazine, OVRmag.com. You can get complimentary access to a year to our digital library or a discount on your print subscription today by using the promotional code at Truck Show Podcast. All right, I'm off to the airport, and I'm going to be looking forward to talking to you guys soon. And, did I mention when I get back, the F-100 is getting rescued? Maybe I should fire up a Patreon, and proceeds of Patreon will go toward rebuilding the F-100. Oh, that's a conversation for another day. See ya!
The Truck Show Podcast is a production of Truck Famous LLC. This podcast was created by Sean Holman and Jay Tillis, hosted by Sean Holman, and uses production elements by DJ Omar Khan and Jay Tillis. If you like what you've heard, please open your Apple Podcast or Spotify app and leave us a 5-star review. And if you're a fan, there's no better way to support the show than by sharing it and patronizing our sponsors. Some vehicles may have been harmed during the making of this podcast.
The white zone is for immediate loading and unloading of passengers.